Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
After a thrilling round 4 of the season at Suzuka, ARA Super Formula goes to the home of British Motorsports Silverstone for round 5 of the championship. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside me is Aaron Smith with Luis Araya, bringing you this stream on Apex Racing TV. And we have another 34 lap race in store for you in what is becoming one of the most entertaining series on our channel. Aaron, it is wonderful to have you back alongside and coming in for this race. I think you're going to really enjoy these cars, honestly. They are thrilling from start to finish every single race.
Well, it seems every single time I open up Instagram or Twitter, or X, whatever you call it now, it's always a clip from Apex of a Super Formula race of something absolutely incredible that happened in the last week. I think my favourite moment of this season that I've seen so far is, I believe it was Spa, the last lap overtake. That was... I actually watched that race when it was happening, and I genuinely have never jumped up and down that much to an Apex race, and that was a sensational overtake. And if we get some of that today, then well, I'm just glad to be here. And if this car is as fun to watch as it is to drive, then well, this is going to be a spectacular race.
It sure will be. That move at Spa was absolutely incredible. You're absolutely right. Yeah, I want to see more action like it. Suzuka as well last time out was even better as a race on the whole. That was a nice little compilation actually that we put up on our social media platforms, Apex Racing League and Apex Racing TV, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and also TikTok as well. And yeah, there were some near misses, some legendary overtakes on the outside of 130R, much more successful than the real life Super Formula series, which visited Suzuka very recently. There was a big shunt in that. We head to Silverstone, and we're looking at potentially our 4th different race winner in 5 rounds. In the championship at the moment, it has been a good start for Lennart Schnabel. He is really getting a lot of points under his belt. And of course, Aaron, you've raced against Lennart in the past. What would you say have been his main strengths from what you recall?
Well, I mean, I was his championship rival, I believe the first time he ever came to Apex in F3, and that was a fun season, one which I lost, but yeah, he's a very formidable opponent. He's super, super quick. I think his strength is just his pace, to be honest. He's just got incredible speed, and he's just been getting better and better over time. since I first raced against him. I think it was 2 years ago now. It feels like forever. He's come a long way since then, and his pace is just incredible, which, well, it explains why he's top of the standings at the moment.
Alicon missed the first round of the championship, hence why he's lacking a little bit. As you guys had some very close attempts at race wins. I think took pole at Aragon, if I recall correctly, was leading until the last corner at Spa, and so he'll be dangerous. And Rosenkrantz with another qualifying ban, still very much in the championship hunt. In the AMS, this one's very interesting. Grossetto's very much been the pace setter so far this season, but he's not at the top of the championship. Cabral ahead. Dean Veyer was very strong at Suzuka. I think those top 4 might well start dominating, albeit Boberg has got good pedigree in ARA in the past. Qualifying is currently in progress, and we are going through our penultimate group at the moment. And just going on to pole position there was Giuseppe Lofari. He currently leads the way ahead of Fabio Grossetto. Lee Aberdeen and Kevin Swemster, the 2 Alcantech NHR drivers, having to settle for 3rd and 4th positions as it stands.
Yeah, quite surprising that we're actually getting some fairly close lap times, which the Super Formula from officials, which I've seen so far, usually isn't the case. It's usually a bit spread out, since it's really difficult to get this car hooked up right, and it requires a lot of driver skill to get the most out of it. But we've got some fairly close lap times up the front right now. The 2 Italians, 1 and 2 right now. Schnebel has not set a lap time yet, but I can imagine that when he does, he will most definitely be within the top 3, if not on this lap, at some point later in the session.
Well, it is just the 1 lap that they get to their name, and so they're just warming up at the moment on their out lap, and it does look like Schnabel is going to be leading them away. This final group is the top 5 in the championship. It's Schnabel, Winkler, Alicon, Alzugare, and Paluch, and they will all be looking to get to the top. So a lot of stress. Have you ever done one shot qualifying? It's a fair bit different to the 2-shot, which you get in officials, where you can have a bit of a safety lap.
I've not done it on iRacing before, no, but I have done it in other games. But yeah, I can tell you that one-shot qualifying is extremely stressful, as, you know, usually you have one bad lap and, you know, you have that thought in your head, well, okay, not ideal, but I've got one more shot to get this right. In this, it's genuinely all or nothing. Like, you can bottle a lap that's going incredibly well, and it's the worst feeling. I can tell you, it is horrible. You can be on a lap for pole and then just throw it away at the last corner, and there's nothing you can do but just be sad at yourself. And I think one shot, I don't really have an opinion on it, because it kind of brings out the best in drivers. I think a lot of people can agree on that, but at the same time, it doesn't get the most out of the drivers. We don't see their best lap time. So it's kind of, you know, what do you prefer seeing? I prefer just a standard qualifying session, but I'm curious what you think, Sam.
Well, I'm liking this for this series. I think it's put a lot of pressure on the drivers. We've seen a few drivers invalidate their lap times. And so, yeah, it is an extra element for them to contend with. Marcus Alicon absolutely flying on this lap. Well, really good Sector 2, actually, for Alicon. He's good on the slow-speed corners. I'm not sure if he's quite so good maybe on the high-speed corners, because Sector 3 was lacking a little bit. I think Schnabel's going to be right up there as well. Schnabel will be the first man across the line, followed by Alicon. Schnabel's pretty much been matching Lofire all the way through this lap, but he ends up with a good final sector. He goes half a tenth clear. What can Alicon do? He edges out another 200ths of a second. Carl Winkler is coming up to the line as well. Alzugai moves up to 6th position, and Winkler only in 5th place. Paluch, I don't think he's going to be mixing it up with the absolute top guys. He goes to 5th place, just ahead of his teammate, as a similar order, honestly, to what we saw back at Suzuka in the end, and the top 6 separated by less than half a second.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying at the start. I'm really surprised at the close gaps that we're getting in this qualifying session. Not complaining at all. It's amazing to see. The top 3 within a tenth of each other? That is incredible. A slight mistake from any of those guys on that lap would have definitely cost them pole, but luckily Alicon managed to put it all together, and he will start from pole position.
Shall we have a quick look at the Teams Championship? I did miss them earlier on. This would normally be when we go to the grid, but yeah, I just want to point out the Teams Championship, because I think Core Sim Racing are up there, and it's looking fairly tight at the moment. There you go, Alcantech up there, Core, Geeks Energy That's the top 3. Watch out for those teams. Apologies. Now we'll get into the grid, and there is Marcus Alicon on pole, ever so close to Schnabel, Lofari, Grassetto top of the Yams, Paluch, Winkler, Aberdeen, Alzugari, Zwemstra, Cabral, Platt finally putting in an eligible lap time. He's really been poor in qualifying so far this season, has Platt, but always good in the races. And it's Pop Cezana, won last week. Got a lot of work to do, hasn't he? Dean Bayer, Cesar Giovanacci, Dorian Arroyo, Chris Rosenkrantz with a quali ban, and these other drivers just invalidated their lap times. Mola, Kitzelman, Boberg and Walsh.
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy to invalidate a lap round here, especially when you've only got one. And when you do, like I said, you're going to be kicking yourself, as you will most likely just have to start from the back. And, well, the best thing as a driver you can do is just get your head down and deal with it. Stop, feeling sorry for yourself and just get on with the job at hand. And hopefully the guys that didn't have a great quali session today will be doing just that and getting their head in the right mindset.
Yeah, they've got about 30 more seconds in order to do that. We've still got a few of our front runners to get onto the grid, but Alicon looking for what I believe would be his second race victory of the season. I think he won back at Motegi and wants to cut the gap back down to Schnabel. Schnabel, ever so lucky last week, had to avoid Alicon, who spun right in front of him early in the race. Then he got well, frankly, taken out by Chris Rosenkrantz in the middle part of the race. At least that was what the stewards decided was the case. And so it did lose a fair few points. I think Rosenkrantz actually going to start from the pits as well. So he's got even more catching up to do, does the German driver. But round 5 of the championship from Silverstone in ARA Super Formula is underway, and it is Alicon leading us. It's a good start from P3 there for Lofari. It's a poor start for Schnabel. He's already dropped down to P4, albeit retaking P3 there into turn 1, came back ahead of Make Paluch. It's still Alicon leading the way, covering the middle part of the circuit. Schnabel looking to try to even get back into P2, but it might leave him vulnerable on the loop, as down the inside goes the course sim racing driver on Make Paluch. He is up 2 places already and into the rostrum places.
Yeah, it's one of the most difficult things to do in this car, just starting. It seems like such a simple thing, but it's so difficult. There is Grassetto trying to go into... Oh, I think I was battling for P4 against Schnabel. Schnabel really has had a poor start, but surely he will get his head down and go for those positions in front of him. We've got a spinner, a couple spinners behind. Actually, that's 2 cars off, and one of them is Kevin Zwemstra. That is really going to shape up the... team championship like you were just talking about.
Swemstra, always one of our front runners, and it's left him a lot to do already. I think Rosenkrantz actually being able to move past him on that occasion. Here it was it a tap from behind? It was a bit, it's a bit over-ambitious. You can take alternative lines there, and unfortunately 2 cars getting involved. I think that was Joe Bonacci on the inside, by the way.
I believe you might be correct on that. And yeah, like you say, it's lap 1. You've got a 34-lap race here. You don't need to be making moves like that. Oh, that's very wide, and that's Aberdeen making contact with Al-Shashwari, and he's gone right into the barrier. That might be his race basically over with. He's definitely going to have to go back into the pits. But I think Aberdeen there just got a bunch of understeer off the exit of this corner.
Aberdeen as well, based down under, but I don't think that was netcode, honestly. And then good avoidance. I think that was Cezanne who had to slam on the brakes in order to avoid Alzugari, who might well take his pit stop early on. I think there's been an issue as well for our championship leader, Lennart Schnabel, and I think it may have been a solo issue as well, right at the start of this lap. And Schnabel is now... I'm trying to look for him on the screen. He's down to 16th place. This is what happened to him. It's all by himself.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate for Schnabel, and I think it might be just what we were talking about before we went live, actually, is those lap 1 tyres do feel really sketchy in this car, and well, he tried to just put the throttle down too much like Aberdeen there, and just completely lost the rear of the car through the final corner.
What a wild start to this race, and several of our contenders, Alzugari, Zwemstra and Schnabel, all with big setbacks, and Alcontag NHR could well be losing their championship lead after tonight. But Alicon leads the way, Lothario in second, Paluch with a strong start in third, Cossetto returns to where he started in fourth, then it's Winkler, Aberdeen, Cezanne with a really good start, up 6 places, and Kevin Kittelman is up 11 places into P8. He invalidated his qualifying lap, and yet he is right up there in 8th place, and behind him as well, we should give a shout out to Dean Vera, who was very strong last time out at Suzuka, 1 out of the amateur drivers. He's up 5 places himself into 9th place.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what you get when you just go nice and clean on that first lap, as a lot of people didn't really seem to have that mindset in this race, unfortunately. A few mistakes, a lot of incidents actually on that first lap. And that's Kittelman making another place up into 7th. He's really on the move, isn't he? He's having an amazing race, and he's now lost the place again and gone off. And, well, I haven't commentated in a few months, and, well, welcome back. I'm so sorry, Kevin Kittelman. That's my first jinx in a while, and it doesn't feel good, and I'm sincerely sorry.
I think it was a slowdown, wasn't it? Oh, Schnabel just squeezes his way past Jay Walsh. Yeah, so it must have been a slowdown there for Kittelman. That's a shame. He's had a pretty miserable season.
Oh, he's lost it.
And something else has happened now to him as
What
well.
have I done?
Love Fields.
What have I done?
And this is sort of, this is a bit more like it for what Kevin Kittelman's season has been so far. He really has had decent pace at times, but has not had the results and finds himself quite low down in the championship. A former ARA champion in the GTE cars in the amateur category. This was the second of the mistakes, and well, it looks like it's going to be our second spin at Love Fields. He didn't even make it. It was, in fact, at Brooklands that he lost it.
Yeah, just too much in the middle of that corner, and that's a really weird place to actually lose it. Usually lose it on the exit. He's trying to go for a move now as we head onto the hangar straight, and well, neither of them using any of their boosts so far. Oh, that's very late on the brakes. A good move for Kittelman, but he's got a lot of ground to make up. He already made up a lot of ground, up I think 12 places at one point, and well, let's see if he can do that again over the course of the next 30 laps.
Update on Chris Rosenkrantz. He's already pitted as Chris Rosenkrantz. He started from the pits and then he pitted again for a minute. So he's nearly a lap down now, is Rosenkrantz. And, well, he's not going to score many points. And this is the guy who's been probably the fastest driver so far this season, but just has not been able to put it onto paper, unfortunately. A couple too many mistakes. And, yeah, issues maybe in the real world, setting him back in this race as well. So I don't think he will finish in 21st. I think he might be able to get a couple of the amateur drivers by the end of the race, but it will be quite a dull 30 laps for him, albeit he might make some influence in the lead battle because there are the leaders just behind him.
Yeah, for a second when I saw he did come into the pits, I thought maybe it could have actually been a good strategy, just give himself that clean air and just, well, go for it all the way until the end of the race. But yeah, just maybe some kind of technical problem. I mean, sitting there for a minute, surely something must have gone very wrong for him. And like you said, nearly a lap down. So don't really think we're going to be seeing much of Rosenkrantz, unfortunately, today. He might just stick at the bottom end of the field. But Alarcon in the lead has, well, stayed there since lap 1. Got a good start. An amazing start, in fact, left everyone behind him pretty much for dead, and this gap to Lafaro behind about 8 tenths has kind of just stayed that way for the past 5 laps, and I can't really see Lafaro getting closer or really staying away, so we'll just have to see as there's a bit of a lock up there from Lafaro into turn 2.
I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of overtaking tonight on, so we did see a decent amount at Suzuka, and the boost really does help with the overtaking, but I think most of the time the drivers are very patient. At Motegi, I think it was Alarcon trying to get past, maybe even the other way around actually, maybe Lothario leading and Alarcon trying to get past him. And I think he was held behind for about 25 laps at Motegi. And I think this might be quite similar because whilst we have got a couple of decent length straights here at Silverstone, there's not many big braking areas. And so if you've got DRS, you can sort of overtake, especially with the big rear wings you have to run here at Silverstone. The DRS is very powerful. but in this race, I don't think it'll be quite as easy. However, I think Lennart Schnabel should be able to get past these guys fairly quickly. He's about a second a lap faster than Edward Pop, and he's most likely going to be able to get past him on the hanger straight. He might even go for it earlier than that into Magnus and Beckett's, but that was very ill-advised.
Could be just trying to pressure Edward Pop into a mistake, which he kind of has on the exit there of Beckett's, and well, that's a fairly simple overtake up into 13th place for Lennart Schnabel. He's going to have to spend this entirety of this race just trying to get back to where realistically he should be. And well, he's got Boberg about a second up the road, so he's going to have to charge after him. But just want to ask a quick question to you, Sam, and if anyone else wants to pipe in the YouTube chat to this question, then feel free. Do you actually prefer this way of running a boost system where the drivers can pick and choose and they have a limited amount of time over a race, or do you prefer the more Formula One style with DRS that they have?
I think, as this is getting very close, but K-Bar holds on against Mola, I think it's a bit more authentic like this, isn't it? I would say the boost, for example, should be something which is a manual deployment and you can do it whenever. And I think that's something that Formula One should implement a little bit more, is the idea that it's the driver deploying the boost rather than just a computer system. And so therefore it makes it a bit more sort of kind of active, with the driver taking responsibility for the boost, because everyone loved KERS, right? And we sort of lost that, even though the system that they have now is basically a super KERS, and yet you don't, because it's not a manual deployment, it doesn't quite feel the same way as the old system was. So no, I do support this. It's a nice system, but I think for something like DRS, it should be when you're within a second. I don't think you should get 10 DRSs in a race. I think if you're doing that, then you should just not have DRS at all.
I gotta say, I do agree with you. I think when you have a boost system like this, like we see in Super Formula and the likes of IndyCar as well, you do get more traditional style wheel-to-wheel racing instead of, you know, the kind of racing that F1 is now known for, where it's kind of just, you get within a second. If you're within, say, 7/6 down the straight, you get DRS and you'll probably overtake them by the end, and you don't really have to worry into the braking zone. There's Grosseto trying to put our nose up and actually smashes Winkler out the way. That was Pulch, sorry. And I think big damage to both cars, but Pulch has even bigger. I don't know if that was suspension damage for him, but he's tumbling down the order.
That was huge damage. I mean, I thought it was just going to pop back on, but I think he's lost a wheel. And it was just tire-to-tire contact. Nice move here from Grosseto. I think this is pretty much fair dues. He's right on the apex. And you can see there's barely any contact. But if we look back,
oh, he's lost a tire, yeah.
Absolutely destroyed by that. I mean, I am really shocked. I've never seen such brittle damage there.
I mean, I do, especially when this car got first released, I did see this car have some questionable damage physics, especially on those rear tires, where they get the slightest of taps and they just pop off, like like a piece of Lego or something. They just come off. And yeah, like you said, that was a fairly decent move from Grosseto, maybe a bit of a lunge, but I mean, at the end of the day, he made the apex. He you know, left Pulch enough room, so I don't really know what to say to that, Sam. I'm going to be honest.
Alex was second place going into this round as well. With Schnabel having a poor round, it looked like he could maybe get something back, but there it was. And I mean, to be fair, I think generally iRacing, the cars are not brittle enough, and I think in real life sometimes you see that tire-to-tire contact, and the car can just obliterate into a couple of pieces in an instant. But that didn't seem quite right. I mean, I honestly would have guessed that you get basically maybe 1/10 of a second damage there. Instead, he's got a meat boy. He's had to take back to the pits, and his evening is pretty much ruined. There's a bit of overtake being used by Dylan Platt. He stops using it though halfway down the Wellington straight, probably because he knew that he had the move done. He's up into 8th place now. Is the Geeks Energy Sim Racing driver.
Yeah, that was a pretty simple as you like overtake into left field there. Not really any fuss between either of those drivers, but they do have to remember they've got Schnabel not too far behind now, as he's up into 10th place, as he's kind of made the best of everyone's mistakes up in front as Kevin Kittleman now. I don't know if that's just a lag spike or he's genuinely out of the race. But considering how long he's been out for, maybe he's made a mistake somewhere or he's just had a massive lag spike. I don't know.
Not a good round for Kevin Kisman. It looked so good for him. He gained 11 places in the first 2 laps. And since then, it's all gone rather south for him. It's going to be another low-scoring effort for him. So Emstrom is up to 17th. Looks like Kittleman... Is he back again? No, he is still gone, unfortunately. Here is Giovinacci. He is on the back of David Mola. Mola up 4 places. Giovinacci collided with... of course, it was with Alzugari on lap 1. And at Stowe corner, where they just went through. And that's why he's so far back at the moment. Apologies, it wasn't with Alzugari. It was with... man, I'm really having a mare right now. Swemstra? Was it Swemstra at Luffields?
It was, yes.
There you go, that's why he's so far back. Oh, shut up.
Yeah, it was, I believe it was him behind Swemstra, the bit of a clumsy move there, but you know, he's still making decent progress in this race. He's now pulled second already on Muller behind, so yeah, he's got some good pace in that Super Formula car, but unfortunately just not had the best start to this race. We've still got around 26 odd laps to go, so still a fairly long race left as Faro actually. A few laps ago, he was just starting to back off from Alarcon, but now he's just gaining back in. He's around half a second behind, and that was a spin for Muller behind. And he's just been spun around by himself. He did a Sebastian Vettel there, trying to go into the old pit lane. But yeah, probably just asked too much of the rear tyres on the exit of this corner.
Like 2020, I want to say.
2021, I believe.
Or was it 21? Okay.
I was there. So I would know. I think it was the sprint race. I think. I know it was in an Aston Martin, I think. Yeah.
I think you're right in terms of it being in an Aston Martin, which means it must have been 21 or 22. So yeah. Good shot on that one. I had forgotten about it. 7/10 of a second between Alarcon and Lofire, as you were saying before. Is starting to gain back a little bit. But I think he's going to wait a while till the pit stops. Usually, and I was saying this to Aaron before the race started, and anyone who's familiar with the Super Formula car, please correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it does seem like the tyres don't really age at all. But on your outlap, the cold tyres do make a difference. And so if anything, the overcut is a slight advantage. And so I think Lofaro might be waiting for Alarcon to pit and then go 1 lap longer than that. I think that might be a good strategy for Giuseppe, because I don't see him passing on circuit, honestly, right now. Neither of them are using their boost, and a common theme this season is just not using their boost until the last couple of laps and then just going all out with 2 laps to go. I think this might be the same, because I haven't seen either of them use the boost so far.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to, I don't know if you have commentated on the 3.5 in a while, but it's kind of similar to that as, well, we're just talking about overtake. Here goes Pop using his as we go down the straight, and that was a bit of a late defensive move there from Boberg as Cabral now comes into the pit lane from 9th. He's going to lose a couple of spots as Edward Pop gains a few there. He will move up into 10th place when he crosses the line. But just as we were talking about pit stops there, I think this track isn't amazing for the undercut because the pit lane is quite slow and quite long. So, yeah, I think the overcut here is going to be a lot more powerful than some other tracks that we might have been to this season. But yeah, it's kind of similar to WEC in the same sense that on the outlap, the tyres are so cold. You just have to be so careful. Otherwise, you will just spin round and, well, this car is quite unforgiving if you do loop up the rear tyres, and yeah, there's nothing you can really do except accept your fate and just get on with the rest of the race. So I think we'll see drivers trying to go as long as they realistically can on these sets of tyres. So I'm going to guess we won't see pit stops until, from the top guys anyway, quite late on. But I might be wrong. I could be completely wrong. Let's find out.
I would guess for Alarcon like lap 21. I reckon.
Yeah.
I think is a good shout for that one. I'm surprised that KPR came in as early as he did. He's come out without too much traffic. He's got Jay Walsh a bit ahead, and he's got Giovinacci as well, but I doubt he'll catch up to Giovinacci because Giovinacci's pace is actually quite strong. In fact, only about a tenth of a second slower than the race leaders. Grosseto with decent pace in P3. I would say that Grosseto's pace usually falters a bit as the event goes on. He is susceptible to a mistake or two is Fabio, and his tyre wear tends to be a little bit higher. We certainly found that in the MDHs in the ARA Prototype Championship a couple of seasons ago. Well, in this race at least, he is just getting faster and faster. Winkler now a second behind him. Cesana up to 5th place. Marco won last time out at Suzuka in a very competitive field from P8 as well. He fell down to P8 on lap 1, did Cesana, but pretty much overtook the top 7 in order to get to the front and win that race. He's having a bit of a quiet one in P8. Lee Aberdeen also a quiet one in P6. He had very good pace actually last time out, did Aberdeen and Suzuka. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to show it, had some hardware issues, and that very much ruined the second half of his stint. Otherwise, I think he would have been right in play for the race win. Meanwhile, Giovinacci now onto the back of Walsh, and KBR will be with these guys very soon as well. So Giovinacci needs to make this one stick very soon. And Giovinacci is ahead of KBR properly because he's taken his pit stop already. So this is not a fight for position against Walsh, but it will be a fight for position against KBR.
Yeah, this is the thing you have to keep track of in this series, is people can just take their pit stop whenever they want. They can do it on lap 1, lap 5, lap 10. It doesn't matter because, like we were talking about before, you can't refuel in this. It's just tyres, and some people might be trying to save their tyres, although, as we were just talking about, they don't really make a huge amount of difference, so wouldn't really make much sense unless you're trying to go super, super long. Then, well, fair enough. You can pit stop on like lap 25 or something, and you'll probably make up a lot of ground, as there's a Lafaro really taking out all of the space on the track through turn 1, and he's really catching up to the back of Alarcon now. We might have a battle for the lead on our hands.
These cars have such high downforce that you just get this toe through the Abbey chicane, and it really does enable you to go for a move into the hairpin, and then of course continue it on from the loop, and then Village, and the Wellington Straight as well into Brooklands, and maybe even Copse Corner, but I seriously doubt we'll see that because that's such a risky move, and as you can see, it's tricky to stay close through Luffield. But Lefaro's looking very quick at the moment, driving for Mibane Sim Racing team. Marcos driving for Masked Devils. If Marcos could win this race, I think he would go to the top of the championship, with Schnabel only down in 9th position as it stands, and could well drop further back than that actually. Schnabel, he might pass Vey and Platt, but he risks falling behind Giovinacci and Caprial later on. This is getting really close. This is the closest these two have been for the entire race, and Lefare maybe looking a little bit more racy, but Aaron, still, we're not seeing that light flash. He's not using the overtake.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a game of chicken, isn't it? It's whoever uses it first is going to be at a disadvantage later on in the race. And will Alarcon try and use it for defense? Will Lafaro try and use it to overtake him? It's genuinely just going to be whoever uses it first is going to be at a detriment later on. I don't know if Lafaro will take a track position over having more boost. I don't know which one would be better to come the end of the race, but yeah, he wants to go for that move, but he just can't quite get close enough. He gets so close. I think he was down to about a tenth and a half as we went into Stowe. So if he can just get Maggots and Beckett's basically perfect, as he's super, super close to Alarcon now. I doubt, like you said, we'll see him move into Copse Corner, but yeah, the last time somebody went for a move like this into Copse Corner, it didn't end very well. So yeah, let's hope these guys can keep it clean. But Lafaro looking very, very racy, and possibly the man to win this race. Who knows?
Yeah, he looks faster right now, doesn't he? Gets a nice bit of draft into Maggots and Beckett's, but then a big lump of turbulence as well. And well, you can see the understeer that he got through Abbey. Sorry, not Abbey, Chapel. and onto the hanger straight. Back down to 0.3 of a second again. If he was using his boost, he really would have a good chance here, Lafire, but I think it's going to need to be into Brooklands if he wants to go for it. You can see just ahead of them, Aurora being caught by Rosenkrantz, and Rosenkrantz has now passed Aurora, so there's going to be a bit of traffic for all these drivers to deal with. And also Cabral, after his pit stop, he's now the next to pass Jay Walsh, who's been very unlucky so far in this race. Walsh has had a lot of fast drivers spin or pit, come out behind him and then have to overtake him, but credit to Jay, he's keeping his head.
Yeah, he's just a fairly calm and collected driver. I've, of course, watched him over the last few years. I think F3 is the series I've seen him do most. And there he was using the boost to try and stay ahead of Cabral as he tries to go around the outside of Stone. Not really going to work there, as there is Jay Walsh trying to defend desperately from Cabral. I don't think Walsh has made his pit stop yet. So
No.
it's a bit weird to defend from someone you're not really fighting against, but I mean, he's perfectly within the rules too. So, you know, fair play to the man. If he wants to defend from the Brazilian behind, then he can. And at the moment, he's doing a pretty good job of it.
And Cabral again looking. I really thought that Walsh was going to go into the pits there, and I wonder if Cabral was as well, and just thinking, I'm not going to overtake him into club because he's going to come into the pits. But no, then he just decided to turn left and didn't go into the pits. Here comes the move again. Cabral has got the inside line this time, and he will move past. But yeah, it might be a good strategy for someone else to use later on in the race to do that dummy by not going into the pits. It could be quite important when it gets to the mid stage of the race. Still, we don't think this is the best time to take the pit stop. However, Carl Winkler very much disagrees with me. He's straight in, and he will now serve his pit stop. And Winkler with a chance at P3. Grassetto has gone off.
I wonder if he made contact with someone, or he did kind of similar mistakes to what we saw Schnebel do at the start of the race, where he just kind of lost it. As there's a lockup from a car in front. Does he get distracted? Or is there contact made? No, he just gets distracted and loses it. Very, very weird and unfortunate there for Grassetto.
Did say that there was the possibility of a mistake from Fabio. It has been his undoing so far this season, and it means that Dean Veyer leads as of the amateur drivers, and that is 100% legitimate. That has really cost Grassetto bad. He's lost out to Cesana, Aberdeen, Vela, Platt, Schnabel, and he will lose out to Winkler. You're absolutely right. Thanks for saving me on that one. And yeah, really bad news. He might even lose out to the likes of Giovinacci as well once all the pit stops are complete. So there were a lot of drivers quite close behind him, and he's dropped behind all of them, even though it was just lost him 10 seconds that spin.
Yeah, Fabio Grassetto, the man I beat in Equal Machinery, as you may remember, Sam, a couple years ago. Actually, no, it was a year ago. I think last year, F3. I think it was a year ago, something like that. Was a very, very close championship in the end between me and Grassetto. He was really, really quick in that F3 car, but like you said, at times he just made those little mistakes that ended up costing him. And yeah, I mean, could have been a podium today. I mean, who knows? Still a long race. But yeah, he just needs to, as he comes into the pit lane now, actually, as he will be put out into fairly clean air, as that's the benefit as well that I was just going to talk about with Winkler. He's got some pretty good clean air in front of him. Once he gets past Pop, he'll be free to do whatever he wants. So Winkler could be a little thorn in somebody's side later on in this race. We'll have to see what kind of lap times he ends up putting down. He has lost a second due to those cold tyres, but he could have some fairly good pace by the end of the race. Who knows?
Looks like Grassetto's going to come out behind Giovinacci. Oh, it's quite close actually between the two of them. Giovinacci only just ahead, but Grassetto's still ahead of Cabral. At least Cabral's lost quite a bit of time actually since the pit stops. I thought he'd be a bit further up than that, so not a great few laps it seems like for the Brazilian driver. Maybe lost a little bit of time behind Jay Walsh, but of course a lot's going on, and it's very good to keep an eye out on what the lap times are for each driver. And to do that, you can check out the link in the description below. I think it's also posted in the YouTube chat as well, to access the live timing and that will give you information on who's pitted and how long their pit stops were, what everyone's lap times are, what their sector times are even, and you can figure out what is going on out on circuit. That's provided by SDK Gaming, who, along with providing that live timing webpage and also their software, also provide tools for broadcasting, a heads-up display for whilst you are racing as well. So do check out sdk-gaming.co.uk in order to get more details. Rosenkrantz being very generous and letting the leaders past.
Yeah, this battle is going to be the one that everyone is going to be watching, especially when they come in for their pit stops. Like Sam was saying, I think around lap 21 is where we're going to see these guys come in. I think would make the most sense for them, as Vela, I believe, might actually come out. Pop just overtook him, so I was going to say he would come out in the amateur lead, but I don't think Pop has made his pit stop yet, so we'll just have to see when Pop does make his pit stop where everyone in the AMS is going to be, as Grosseto, has lost 2 seconds to Vela now, and that mistake really has cost him. We'll just have to see what kind of lap times he does until the end of the race. We've got about 16, 17 laps left, and well, it's I'd say been a pretty good race so far. Lots of action, a couple battles here and there, but this is the one battle which I want to see, and that is Lafaro using his boost.
Is there going to be any defense from Alicon? It doesn't look like it. I think Lafaro is going to take the lead. Nothing put up by the Spanish driver, and it is the Italian who leads for the first time here at Silverstone. They are going to fight slightly down into Vale, but again, quite passive from Alicon. And nice work there from Lafaro, who wanted to take that lead. And that makes sense, because they're coming into the pit stop window, and you may as well lead going into the pit stops. It's better to go into the pits half a second ahead than half a second behind.
Yeah, definitely. But like I said, it was a game of chicken, and I think Lafaro might have lost. So will Alarcon try and use the boost on this lap to get past again? We'll just have to wait and see, because of course Lafaro can't use it for the next 100 seconds. He's completely vulnerable. So, there was a mistake in the background. Who was that? That was Rosenkrantz. Okay, I thought for a second that was somebody on the podium, but yeah, Rosenkrantz's day just keeps getting worse and worse. Unfortunately, he's all the way down in 16th place, but will Alarcon use his boost at any point on this lap, or will he just be patient all the way until the pit stops? We will find out. And I mean, if I was him, I'd just go for the boost, because like you said, that pit stop is going to be crucial. Being ahead is going to matter a lot more, so we'll have to wait and see as we come out of Max and Beckett's.
Susanna a lot faster than these guys on that last lap due to their fighting. He is 9 seconds behind. It's a shame that Susanna pitted or started down in 13th place. He did right in play, but unfortunately he left himself with a lot to do. And Alicon, in fact, lifting out of the thought, so I was speaking over it, but at least I could hear that he was lifting out, so no pressure to do that. Not really any fuel tactics when it comes to this. I guess you can start with a little bit less fuel, but you don't take fuel at your pit stop, so don't expect the fuel saving to be particularly advantageous. As Aberdeen is the next to pit, that was from P4. He will be fairly close to the likes of Winkler, won't he? I think he was just ahead of Winkler before the pit stops.
I think he was only 1 place ahead, so that's going to be very, very curious, and it will kind of confirm if the overcut does actually work.
I stand corrected, apologies. Winkler was 2 places ahead of Aberdeen, so he should stay ahead, should Winkler.
We'll just have to wait. Well, you never know. As you said, the overcut seems to be the strat, but I believe, Winkler has gotten past, but I think he's around 2 seconds ahead.
Close.
So
it was 4 seconds. It's now down to 2 seconds.
It's touch and go, this, and this is another thing we have to ask ourselves: are Lafaro and Alarcon going to be pitting on different laps? Because they might not come in together.
Yeah,
that is a genuine possibility.
We're getting close to that lap 21, and I really want to be correct here. So there's a lot at stake over the next couple of minutes. Susanna, by the way, taking another 3/10 out of these drivers on that last lap. Fastest second sector of anyone for Alicon. That's basically the 2 hairpins at the start of the lap. The first sector is nothing. It's just the Abbey chicane, which is flat out. So not really much to talk about there. 3/10, but they're both staying out are the top two.
Can you even call it a chicane, really? It's not, is it?
Not in these cars.
I don't know what car it would be. A chicane, really. It kind of is, but I don't know. I've just never really thought as it as a chicane.
Is that a better?
It's more like that, if anything. I mean, it's barely corners. There's only a few cars which you do actually lift off for. I think GT3s you do.
The reason why it's called the Abbey chicane is because obviously, and this is when you were like 3, Aaron. It used to go
when
left.
With the old
obviously.
layout, yeah.
Exactly, and that was a proper chicane. So I think the name is just transferred over from that.
They got lazy and couldn't be bothered to rename the corner. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
As we see Platt also come into the pit lane, as we've actually seen Giovinazzi gain quite a few places. He's already made his pit stop, but he will be on a little bit older tyres. But I'd say going from, what was he, 15th pretty much when he made contact with Swemstra to now 6th place, he's really put down some really impressive lap times. So if he can stay in 6th, I don't even think he'd mind, to be honest. He's put on a really good performance.
Yeah, he's been mega, hasn't he, so far in this race? Just the top 3 yet to pit. Lefare, Alicon, and Cezanne. Cezanne usually leaves it quite late, from what I recall. Anyone pitting on this lap? Come on, guys, prove me right. Damn it. Wasn't lap 21 after all, guys. They're gonna keep on going. Cezanne, will he come into the pits? He does. He should stay in 3rd position, Cezanne. I don't think he's going to be under 3rd from Winkler. Winkler's lap times have been fine, but nothing spectacular. Cezanne, I reckon, will come out of the pits about 3 seconds clear of Winkler.
I'm not so sure about that. I think, what was he? I think 9 seconds off the lead, and the pit stop here is around 20 odd seconds. So I think it might be close, and he will be on cold tyres. So it might be touch and go. Winkler could be on for a podium here. It's going to be a bit close. Yeah, the gap's down to going to be around 2 seconds as it climbs down even more.
Yeah, it's pretty small, isn't it? Only 1.5, and yeah, like you said, cold tyres.
That could be a good battle for we might have a battle for 3rd and for 1st. This is going to be a fun race, isn't it? For the next 12 laps.
It is. Aberdeen now 4 seconds behind, so he's struggled to get those tyres up to temperature. For reference, Aberdeen lost 1.5 seconds to Winkler in his first 2 laps on those fresh tyres. Winkler's only 0.8 of a second behind Cezanne, so if there's a similar loss for Cezanne as Aberdeen, then he could be in trouble. Here comes Schnabel. He is on the back of Platt. He hasn't been. He has been behind Platt for a while. Platt having his best race of the season. Once again, it wasn't a great qualifying for Platt, but it put him in play at least in 11th. He usually starts outside the top 15 because he keeps on off tracking his quali laps. But he's in play tonight. Didn't make any mistakes in the first half of the race. And he's been keeping Lennart Schnabel behind for, I think, about the last 10 laps or so. It's a mighty effort to do that against the championship leader, albeit Schnabel looks closer than he has ever done.
Yeah, Schnabel having a good run on this lap anyway, but through Maggots and Beckett's, it wasn't amazing, and he is trying to use his boost now, as Platt has already used his at some point, as he's defending towards the inside. Schnabel tries to shove him out the way, but just didn't get that good of a run through Stowe, and that was a really, really good defense from Platt, it must be said. He took the wider line and just absolutely outpaced the German. That was super. I'm going to give a round of applause to Platt. That was really, really impressive. Like you said, against the championship leader, and he didn't have any boost. That was really impressive. If he had more pace and a better qualifying, who knows? He could be a fantastic driver. That was really impressive.
Yeah, nice work there from Platt. And of course, Schnabel needs to get past. Oh, as we might have a change for 3rd position because this is Cezanne versus Winkler. Winkler with the warm tyres. This is going to be his best chance to overtake. And we might see a move actually at Cops now because if he deploys the attack, but you can see that light is slowly flashing, which means that he has used his attack recently and he cannot use it yet. And well, if he could, he would have been right in play, albeit to be fair, Cezanne maybe could have retaliated by using the boost himself. Boberg, meanwhile, got past Swemstra. I think Swemstra's actually had an issue. So more bad news for Kevin. He had a setback on lap 1. probably not down to his own faults, and has had another issue there. Rosenkrantz also pitting. That is unusual because he's already pitted, has Rosenkrantz, but will return to the pits once again in a very distant 16th place and 1 lap down.
He could be retiring or might just be pitting for fresh tyres to see if he can get fastest lap, which is, you know, if he wants to try and go for that, then fair play to the man. We know how quick Rosenkrantz is, but unfortunately it just doesn't seem to really be gelling with this track. Actually, I don't think he stopped at all in the pit lane, so he might have had some kind of penalty. We have seen him make a fair few mistakes, so maybe just a drive-through penalty for Rosenkrantz, which, yeah, kind of sums up his day, really.
It does. We did see his spin earlier on, which that would have been a 4x, but it is a 20 instant limit, so a bit higher than the officials, but then this race is a fair bit longer than the officials as well. I believe the officials is, well, it's not even distance, I think it's times. Or not, sort of. Anyway, Winkler is up into 3rd position. He's got past Cezanne eventually. There he goes. He's been threatening at Brooklands for the last few laps. And here is a replay of it. Gained a 10th of a second through Sector 1, 2/10 through Sector 2 as well. And then using the overtake, and it was fairly simple for him to overtake into the 3rd position. Meanwhile, Alicon has come into the pits finally from 2nd position, just as Lofaro sets the fastest lap of the race.
And crucially, like I said, they didn't come into the pits on the same lap, so I think that might be a good thing for Lofaro, and you can see that he's using his boost quite a bit, actually, so he might just be going all out on this lap and coming in, which I think is going to be the most sensible thing for him to do. He's going to use the last of these tyres, use quite a lot of boost, and see how far he can stretch this gap. We saw, I believe, a pit stop was around 20-ish seconds time lost, maybe about 21, 22. And then the additional, I'd say, a second you lose from having cold tyres. So at the moment, Alarcon is around 23 seconds behind, and that will only continue to drop as Lofaro is using a lot of boost on this lap. I mean, fair play to the man. He wants to win this race. He is motivated in that Super Formula car, and he is pushing on this lap. He just has to be careful not to push too hard as he comes through Maggots and Beckett's. He's still using all of that boost, and that could be... It's quite a risky strategy. He might be left a little bit vulnerable at the end of this race when he does run out of boost. And there, he's finally deactivated it as we come into Stowe. And no doubt he will be coming in for his pit stop at the end of this lap. As he does, he will be braking as late as possible into that pit lane. And, well, the countdown begins. 24 seconds. Who's going to come out on top, Sam?
Well, Lafaro's going to be miles ahead of Alicon here. The sector times, half a second faster for Lofaro in Sector 2, 8/10 faster in Sector 3, half a second faster in Sector 4, and there are 5 sectors on this lap. So, of course, the cold tyres for Alicon, the reason why he's lost out there, and of course, Lofaro using a lot of the overtake, trying to build up as much of a gap as he possibly can, and I think it could be upwards of maybe 3 seconds. I said 3 seconds before, and it turned out just to be 1.5 seconds, and it is going to be a fair bit less than 3 seconds. And you know what? It is fairly close, isn't it? And the reason why it's close is because Lofaro was stationary for 1.25 seconds longer. So he should have been a 1.5 seconds clear, but instead it's barely anything. And now it's Lofaro who's got to deal with the cold tyres.
Yeah, he's got cold tyres and no boost pretty much. And that's going to leave him vulnerable, not only now, but it's going to leave him vulnerable in about 5 laps time, where I believe Alarcon, I haven't seen him use it once in this race. So at some point, you know, the last few laps, he could just press it once and that's it. He doesn't have to worry about the boost for the rest of the race. So maybe Lofaro might try some sketchy tactics as we head into Cops. Is Alarcon going to go for the move? And I think that was a smart idea from both of them, not really to fight each other. But I think Alarcon's going to try and go for the move into Stowe. And I just don't think there's anything Lofaro can do. He really, really had an amazing in-lap, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough.
No. Here he comes. Here comes Alicon. He goes to the inside. There's barely a car's width, but he's going to find it. And our pole sitter
Oh,
is
contact.
taking the lead once again, and that could be decisive. Lofaro's long pit stop really costing him big time on this outlap, and it's going to be ever so tricky for the Italian to retake that lead that he worked so hard to earn.
Yeah, I mean, Alarcon. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I have no idea how he was that close, to be honest, because Lafaro's lap was really good. It was about, I think, a few seconds faster than Alarcon's, and he put down some really good laps. As this is the battle still continuing on for the podium places. Winkler now losing out to Cesana, who's finally got back ahead, and I believe those older tyres on Winkler might just be not really working out for him now, as I think Sasana just had the better pace to begin with. So yeah, we're yeah, Lafaro's just losing even more time now. The race is just slipping away from his hands, and I kind of feel bad for him, Sam. I've got to be honest.
One lap pressure tyres, but that's going to make barely any difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is frustrating for Lofaro, who looks so good. Just 5 laps ago. Well, 3 laps ago. That in-lap that he produced was so good. But looking difficult for him now. At least his tyres now are up to temperature. He's not going to be losing any more time because of the tyres. And he might be able to start neutralising the gap and start catching eventually. So Zana's starting to pull away from Winkler. Much nicer line through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. By the way, there was, and I'm just judging by the timing screen, what an all-time great battle between Lennart Schnabel and Dylan Platt about 3 laps ago. They were side by side for about half a lap, and we might be able to catch footage of it, and it will be difficult for Luis to find it because I think there were about 10 changes of position. But if we go to like the start of that, I think I was on lap 25, and this was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, look at this.
Well, I mean, Dylan Platt so far in this race has been an absolute expert when it comes to defensive driving. And, well, I mean, against Schnebel, I got to say, it's a really impressive drive that he performed. And I think you'd agree, Sam.
Really is. And he just about kept his nose alongside here. Behind them was Fabio Grassetto trying to catch up. But they're still alongside here, and there's so many changes of position where one just gets their nose ahead, then the other just gets their nose ahead. Schnabel's ahead here, but I think this might go on for a couple more corners. On the outside for Platt, brilliant speed, just overshoots it slightly, gets the inside for the loop. Schnabel gets in the cutback again, and Grassetto catching all the while. And Schnabel eventually getting ahead. Now, I don't think either of them have the boost at this point, but Platt still doesn't care. He's trying to come back. But Schnabel does hold on to this position eventually and takes 7th place. But he had to work for about 15 laps to do it. And even when he did do it, he was alongside for half a lap. And that's given Fabio Grassetto a good idea. Since then, the 3 of them have just stayed in the same position. They're now separated by a second and a half.
Yeah, not the easiest track to follow, especially in these types of cars, especially that middle sector. It's really difficult through those high-speed corners, but Schnebel finally managing to get up into 7th place as, yeah, the likes of Schnebel and Grassetto making those early mistakes, which definitely cost them a chance of fighting for a podium, I'd say. They seemed like really good contenders, especially Grassetto, of course. He's an amateur driver, you know, fighting for the likes of 3rd place. He's really been the star in the amateurs this race, and yeah, could have been so much more for him, but unfortunately that mistake has left him all the way down in 9th place, but still crucially in the lead of all the amateurs behind him. But the other Italian who will be rather kicking himself will be Lofaro, who, like we were saying, just how much of an incredible in-lap that was, but just maybe we were wrong. Maybe the undercut, maybe Alarcon knew something that we didn't. Maybe the undercut was better here, and he managed to make it work. And Lofaro now doesn't have nearly as much boost as he would like. He's probably got, I'd say, 60 seconds left, maybe less.
Look on the, there might be like on the yellow box there, on the bottom of the steering wheel, on the angle that we previously had. I do like all the angles as well. I always like a shoulder cam when it comes to the single seaters. But yeah, he's certainly got much less than Alarcon, who And even if Lothario gets close, I feel like Alicon can just turn on that boost when he likes, when he needs it to pull away. So I think Alicon's an overwhelming favourite. Thanks everyone, by the way, for tuning in. Ben Ford on the YouTube chat saying great battle there, and very much agree. And JWS Sim Racing supporting Lee and Kev, clearly an Alt-Contech supporter. So yeah, big thanks to you guys for tuning in, and of course do make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe as well. Carl Winkler was momentarily ahead of Cezanne, but he's back behind Cezanne now, so I'm not sure what's been going on between these two recently. It means that Aberdeen has caught significantly.
Yeah, you were saying, I think, around 10 laps ago that Aberdeen just hasn't quite had the pace this race compared to, I believe it was Suzuka, where he was really, really on it. But all of these guys not having used their boost anytime recently, so the battling going on for these positions is completely natural. And yeah, it is great to see these close wheel-to-wheel battles. The boost, like you were saying, just kind of comes in when, I'd say around lap 31, 32, when people just go all out and they can just press it and forget about it, basically. So it's really weird, because I thought Winkler was losing time to Sassana, but he's kept him honest, and the Germans put down some pretty good laps, and is still keeping the Italian honest. And well, we might have lost the battle for the lead, but this battle for third is still going to rage on. And who knows, we might have an Aussie joining us soon.
I wonder where Giovinacci would be as well. I think probably in third place if it weren't for his early contact. Started down in 15th to Giovinacci. I think he invalidated... Maybe didn't invalidate that time. He may have just been the slowest of the drivers who did start a lap. Here is Joe Walsh, who actually was overtaken by Giovinacci early on in this race. So he's now finds himself a lap down, but doing a very good job there. Is Jake getting out the way? He's a little bit on the apex for turn one, but I don't think it affected Giovinacci too much. Shout out, by the way, to our title sponsor, Apex Racing Academy, for supporting us. Apex Racing Academy providing setups and track guides in their data packs in order to get you to go faster on iRacing in the Super Formula car and GT cars and touring cars and prototypes and many others. Do check out apexracingac.com in order to get yourself a subscription and get faster on iRacing. The gap between third, fourth and fifth is getting smaller. The gap between the top two as well getting a little bit smaller. It's back down to 7/10 of a second with 3.5 laps remaining.
I still think that this is really going to be Alarcon's race to lose, as I believe they've both actually already used their boost on this lap. So I think once we come on to about lap 33, I think Alarcon's got enough boost to just use it for the entire lap and just keep Lothario in his rearview mirrors. And even though Lothario is putting down some really, really good laps right now, I still don't think it's going to be enough, Sam. I just can't see it.
I think it would need to be a mistake from Alicon in order to change this one round. So yeah, it's looking likely. I think I think Alicon will be our first double race victor this season. We have so far had friend Garcia, who turned up, did that amazing move at Spa and retired after round one. Absolute
Chad.
Absolute Chad. That's the word. He's got a 100% winning record in ARL, and probably the greatest final lap produced by an ARL driver as well. He did one race. Second race went to Alicon. Third race went to Schnabel, and fourth race went to Cezanne. So Alicon would be the first double race victor, or Lothario might make it 5 different race victors in the first 5 races. He's getting closer, and he did set the fastest lap of the race that last time around, a 34.93.
He is really putting his pedal through the floor. He can't put his floor through the pedal. That would be really awkward. But he's pushing like hell, and he's using the boost. But is Alarcon going to save it? He is. He's not using it. And maybe Alarcon is confident that he can win this race in the last few laps, as Alarcon has just given up that first place spot to Lothario with only 2 laps to go once we cross the start-finish line. So, I mean, Lothario's not turned the overtake off. He's got 5 seconds left, as you can see on the bottom of that steering wheel. And, well, 2, 1, and that's him gone. That's his overtake done. he can no longer use that boost for the rest of this race with 2 laps to go. I think it will be a miracle if the Italian wins this race, but weirder things have happened in motorsport, so let's just find out.
This is fun, isn't it? This is a cool format with this boost. Look at that. Look at that boost.
He has 170 seconds.
200 seconds they get at the start of the race. He has used 25 of it for the first 32 laps. He's now going to use 175 of it for the final 2 laps in order to try to retake that lead. But it is a risky strategy because Lefaro is going to be pulling some shapes in order to keep this race lead. Alarcon knows that he's got enough to get all the way round. I think he might just run out with a couple of corners to go, but it'll be fairly tight. And Lefaro is going to have to do something incredible here. You're absolutely right, Aaron. He's going to really struggle to win this race. Here comes Alarcon onto the hanger straight.
Yeah, he's going to have that engine absolutely screaming behind him. And look at Lefaro just desperate to do anything. But he's going to be so vulnerable as we come into Stowe. Alarcon pulls out in the inside. It's so close between them. They nearly make contact, but they are still side by side on the run down to Vale. And with Alarcon trying to go around the outside, is this going to be a move for the lead? But Lefaro's not giving up. He's still there side by side as we head on to white flag. This is the last lap, but Alarcon's still got that boost surely turned on as we head into the first corner. As Alarcon moves into the lead fully, is Lefaro going to go for any sense? He tries to go down the inside, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. I don't think there's going to be anything the Italian can do. And that was a bit of a desperate lunge. And I think that's going to be the end of Lefaro's attack as Alarcon just storms away with endless amounts of boost left. And, well, the Spaniard played the patient game. And, well, I'd say, Sam, it seems to have worked out absolutely beautifully for him.
I think both guys played it perfectly. Lefaro had to get track position, seeing that he didn't have the boost. He had to take it whilst he had the chance, and credit to both of them. Really respect for racing. They both left a car's width throughout that Vale and Club section. And it was Alarcon who just got his nose ahead in the end. And it looks like the man who started this race in 3rd position in the championship, well, he could well be leading the championship after tonight. Schnabel down in 7th place. It's going to be another smattering of points for him. But our Spanish driver who took his first race victory back at Motegi on his ARA debut as well. It looks like he's going to double up here at Silverstone and get a huge haul of points. 100 to his tally with a last lap manoeuvre is Marcus Alarcon for Mars Devils, rounding the final corner, and round 5 of ARA Super Formula goes his way. Wonderful work, and he runs out a boost on the line. Perfect race play there, using the boost. Cezanne will finish in 3rd position. It's another podium for him from outside the top 10 on the grid. Winkler, Aberdeen, and Giovinacci very close behind.
Wow, what an end to the race that was. It was just a game of strategy with the boost, which is what we were talking about earlier, which is why we think this is just a better solution than DRS. Is it just adds that little bit more strategy into the driver's hands of when you're going to use the boost, and you just got to play it smart. And, well, I'd say Alarcon absolutely got it to perfection today. He finished in the end a second ahead of Lefaro. Edward Pop crossing the line there in 11th place. Something as well happened to Vela on that last lap. He lost out and he's out of this race. We've still got this battle going on for 12th place. That's a car off in the background.
That's Mola.
He's just given up. I mean, fair play. He's not going to lose any places. Is Wempster going to try and gain another place? Is there going to be contact? It's super close between these guys going through Stowe. But I think it's Wempster who got that move pretty much done and dusted as we head into the final few corners. He's going to grab 12th place for Alcantech, but of course his points won't be going towards the team championship, as I believe it is only the top 2 drivers who actually do count. So it will be Aberdeen and Schnabel taking the points for Alcantech today, and I believe they increased their lead in the team's championship as Core Sim Racing didn't have an amazing race. Of course, Winkler finishing up there in 4th, but unfortunately, Porch down all the way in 17th place. Didn't have the best of results, but wow, what a race, Sam.
Really good stuff. Really good stuff. And our second closest finish of the season, I think. Suzuka was very close, but it never really, there was never any overtakes in the closing stages. There was absolutely overtakes tonight. Alicon winning out ahead of Lofari. Cezanne really cannot be understated just how good Cezanne was, but he needs to improve on those qualifyings because he left himself way too much to do. He finishes on the podium. Winkler in 4th. He was overtaken by Cezanne late on. Aberdeen, who came on strong as the race went on. It wasn't a great start for Aberdeen, but he was good at the end. Giovinacci, where could he have been? He had to pit on lap 1 after contact. He might well get a post-race penalty, but for now he's P6. Schnabel with a disappointing evening, but really it was his fault. He had a great chance at the race win, running in P2. He finished in 7th. He had a monumental battle with Dylan Platt, who had by far his best round of the championship, and dare I say, his best race in ARL as well. Grassetto finishing in 9th. It could have been more for him, but he had a spin. He was ahead of Cabral and Pop in the amateurs. Swimstra was in 12th. Boberg. Weyer had an issue late on. He dropped down to 14th. Mola, Rosenkrantz, Paluch, Walsh, Arroyo, Kitzelman, and Alzigare round out our drivers. I think it's just one lap that the drivers have to do in order to score points. So everyone will score points who were listed there. Let's have a chat with a couple of our drivers, and I will give a quick shout out as well to Virtual Racing School, our last sponsor. Virtual Racing School, of course, offering their software, but also their hardware as well. And of course, that includes their wheelbase, their wheel rim, and their pedals. And you can check them all out on VRS.racing or ApexRacingSim.com. You can order those products which are used by along with the ESR R1 Championship as well. Do thoroughly recommend that stuff. Let's have a chat with Marco Cezanne to start off with. Marco, congratulations, P3. A good recovery from that qualifying. Marco, can you hear me?
Hi everyone. Thank you, Sam. But I had a difficult race tonight because I started badly in qualifying. I made a mistake in my lap and I started P13. And I also made a mistake in putting fuel because I had to save fuel for the whole race. Luckily, still had a good race pace and I was able to get on the podium, but difficult race, always lift and coast for saving fuel, but yeah, good P3. Congratulations to Marcos and Giuseppe because tonight were uncatchable.
Yeah, they were very strong. You were very strong yourself. Talk us through that battle with Carl Winkler in the final stages. Talk us through like the strategy elements when it came to tires and the boost as well that you guys were using.
I was always on difficult with cold tire when after the pit. Always Suzuka too, but I always use the push to pass on the last lap. Fortunately tonight I had the entire push to pass because the driver on P4 was very fast.
Yes, he was absolutely rapid. Was Carl, and yeah, I'm sure will be strong for the rest of the season. When it comes to the next round of the championship, we have Zandvoort. Very different to this circuit. What do you expect the racing to be like around there? Do you think overtaking is going to be possible, or do you think it's going to be down to qualifying mainly?
Zandvoort will be more difficult because I have this problem with cold tire, and qualifying will be absolutely important in Zandvoort.
Well, we wish you the best of luck for it, Marco. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
I Uh, I speak in Italian for my friend.
No problem.
Ciao Max e ciao Alberto che state guardando la gara. Thank you, Sam.
Excellent stuff. Thanks for coming in and having a chat with us, Mark K. See you next week.
Thank you.
Mark K. Cesana there, explaining the difficulties on the cold tyres. And yeah, if he can get those qualifyings a little bit higher up, even at Suzuka, when he won, he only qualified in P5. I think if he could match the likes of Alicon and Lefaro and Schnabel in quali, he could well be in championship contention. Aaron, who would you like to drag up?
Well, I'm going to dibs the race winner, as I would absolutely love to talk to the man who, well, got that strategy at the end absolutely right. Well done, Marcos. That was an absolutely amazing performance. How are you feeling after that race?
Hello, guys. Well, it's an amazing feeling. You know, it's been a nice race with Giuseppe fighting each other each lap. Maybe there haven't a lot of overtakes, but in the pace we were pushing as much as possible, mate. I am so tired. And yeah, and at the end we fight. I knew it's gonna be a last lap thing, and I tried to save as much push to pass as possible, and finally it worked. Let me congratulate Giuseppe because the fight has been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, me and Sam absolutely loved that battle between you two that pretty much lasted the entire race. And, well, I just have to say, throughout the entire race, were you confident that you could win this race if you just saved your boost all the way to the end? Or at times did you think maybe this could be a little bit difficult fighting Lefaro?
I wasn't sure, but I was thinking that my probabilities will increase if I have more to push to pass. So as the guys behind us was losing time, I was trying to keep close to Giuseppe, and at the end of the race, you know, fight to the end.
Well, it was an absolutely amazing battle to watch between you two. It was so incredible, those final few laps. But going into next week, after this round, I believe this moves you into second and very close to Schnabel. If not, you might even be ahead of him. At Zandvoort next week, do you think you might be able to take another win there as well? Or do you think it will be a bit of a struggle for you?
Honestly, no. That circuit I don't like. I am a little bit slow, but you know, it's time to save points. The difficult race is when you have to do as better as possible, because you need to lose the minimum points. So we will see next week.
Well, good luck for next week, Marcos. But before you let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yes, my spotter. She did an amazing strategy, and as always, my friends, family, you know, people around. And for you guys, thank you too for the broadcast and the champ.
Very kind words there, Marcos. Well, good luck for Zandvoort next week, and we hope to see you again here soon.
See you guys. Bye.
Well, that was your race winner, Marcos Alarcon. And, well, Sam, I believe, well, you're going to dibs the second place, man. And
I think
you get to have a chat with him.
It'd only be right, wouldn't it? We now have a chat with our runner-up, Giuseppe Lofare. Giuseppe, so close, so close.
Yeah.
I mean, well, first off, thank you for making such an entertaining race for us. Talk us through it from your perspective in terms of that first stint, about the track position, and then, yeah, the pit stop strategy as well. It seems such a tactical battle between you two.
Yes, I think I was slightly faster in the first stint, and we both know that when you go to change tires, then for the first few laps, the tires are colder, and so you basically can't undercut, but you can overcut. So both of us didn't wanted to pit, and so that was it. I mean, when I tried to push as much as I could, I used also the push to pass, and I think Marcos did the same. And I was surprised that Marcos was so near to me. Yes, to be honest, today the pace was there, especially in the first stint. At the end, I missed it a bit, to be honest. But yeah, I think I need to improve the pits. I need to be a little bit faster, and then to be more prepared to be fast also with cold tires after the pits, because that was the mistake that cost me the race. And I want to congrats to Marcos that did an incredible race today. And I mean, we both did a great race, but he deserved it. He managed better the ERS, and so congrats to him.
Definitely, and it must have been sort of quite exciting in those closing stages. Of course, using your boost, I guess once you got ahead, you knew that you know, you just had to defend all the way. Do you think there was anything that you could have done, or do you think once you had the boost that it was a losing battle?
No, I knew that he had a bit more boost than me, but I knew also that if I didn't use the boost in that occasion, he would have used his boost in the last 2 laps, so it was impossible to me to overtake him. So I basically said to myself, okay, let's go try to overtake him, and let's pray that he doesn't have push to pass, or that he isn't able to pass me. So I tried everything I could, but it was it was basically impossible. The push to pass is difficult to defend, and yeah, that's it. I mean, I couldn't do anything.
And how are you feeling about Zandvoort coming up next week?
I don't know, to be honest, because I need to buy the track, and so yeah, I don't know. I will see next week.
Excellent stuff. Well, you're much more positive than everyone else. Whenever we asked anyone else about Zandvoort, they would say, "Oh, it's going to be awful. I'm going to be so slow there." So at least you're neutral about it, which hopefully
Yes,
puts you in
yes.
good stead.
To be honest, the only time I tried it was in F1 2020, the game, a couple of years ago. So to be honest, I don't know if I will be fast in iRacing with Zandvoort.
We wish you the best of luck for it either way,
Thank you.
Giuseppe. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yes, I wanted to thank my grandma to watch my race, and yeah, I'm really glad that she's seeing my race, and I love her. A kiss.
That's a really good shout out, and credit to your grandma as well for learning to use YouTube. My grandma still hasn't used it. So yes, excellent shout out. Thanks for having a chat with us, Giuseppe. Best of luck next week.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Giuseppe Lafara there, runner up, and yeah, shout out to Giuseppe's grandmother. Aaron, who would you like to? Well, we've just got one more interview to go.
Yeah, only one man left to interview. The man who had a fairly quiet end to his race, but still got a fairly decent result. P10. Caesar, how are you feeling after that very chaotic race?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, it was a good race. Like I had a terrible start. I was expecting. I just did some changes in my launch control, and it doesn't work at all. So I jumped from 10 for 17 in the first corner. So it was terrible. Then I had to recover this. But and my class I finished second, so it was kind of good result. Bit tired, bit wet, but let's go strong for the next one.
Yeah, not actually too far off of the race win there, actually. And do you think maybe had the the start of your race gone a little bit better, could you have fought Grosseto for the win, or do you think P2 was basically the best you could have done today?
Honestly, I could manage P5, top 5 easily there. Not easily, but the pace was decent. But yeah, when I struggled behind, and then I lost a lot of time to try to overtook Vela, and just cost time. So I decided to stop a little bit early and try to overtake. But I guess some guys did a pit stop but didn't change the tires, so this is risky strategy. And yeah, so then I couldn't catch anymore. The pace from everyone was basically the same. This is amazing. This series, I must confess, the pace for everyone, it's identical. When you see the fast lap from the leader and the fast lap from the top 15, 16, it's like 500 of difference, 600 less than 1 second. So this shows how good quality drivers we have here, how the high level race we have here. I would say easily world class race. So any tens of seconds could make difference. So a terrible start cost definitely 5 positions. And yeah, so that's the price that you pay when you commit a tiny mistake in this level.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on there with the field being super, super close, especially today. That was basically nothing in it. But going into Zandvoort next week, we've seen a lot of drivers not really like Zandvoort that much, as it's not really a track that many people drive on, actually. But is it going to be a track that you're fairly confident on, or are you in the same boat as everyone else where you're just kind of, you don't really know and you think you might be a bit off the pace there?
The Zandvoort, I think that will be the similar race as Motegi. Will be basically impossible to overtake. Will be with the start position will be definitely the most important place where you will be, and then the position that you start is the position that you end. So we have to really think about the pit strategies there, because well, we just barely have one overtake point that is in a T1, and the rest of the track we just have to follow. And the T3, it's that new bend, that new turn that they did. It's not possible to overtake there. It's risky, so will be start position will be definitely important, and you will see many different strategies there. That's how I think that the race will be.
Yeah, it's going to be a really, really tough race. Like you say, not that many overtakes, but it will be more a strategic race than anything else. But before we let you go, is anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah. I would like. Can I do advertising for my team Instagram? So I would like to guys follow us, Race2 Esports, in the Instagram, and also thanks for our sponsors, Comida do Dia, Significar, and for all the drivers from the team that give them massive support. And yeah, I hope better result for the next race, and let's keep fighting for the Pro Am Championship.
Thank you for talking with us, Caesar, and good luck for next week.
Thank you.
Cesar Gabriel there. Yeah, another decent result for Cesar with second place out of the amateur jars. And it's all very close in the championship actually. Schnabel now 3 points clear of Alicon at the top of the championship. I thought Alicon may have taken the championship lead, but just 3 points between the two of them. Considering that Alicon missed one of the rounds, he's done very well. There is a drop score as well, so that will really help Marcos when that starts to apply. And in the amateurs, after that race, Gabriel still the leader in the amateur championship ahead of Grosseto, Veya, and Pop. So plenty more action to come up. Aaron, have you enjoyed your stay in the series?
yeah, I'm almost sad to leave. To be honest, I want to stay now. I missed the opportunity to do it. I believe when we got the request at the start of the season. So yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in myself. I want to continue doing this, but yeah, maybe if we do another season of this, hopefully I'll be able to snatch up a spot there. But I'll probably give next week a watch. It was really fun, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed me being here, Sam.
I sure did. I'm not around next week, so maybe you might get called up again to commentate on this one. So you might get 2 weeks in a row for the series. It'll be Zandvoort next time out. No overtaking is going to be a possibility. I think there will be a decent amount of overtaking, to be fair, but a tricky circuit, a long race as well with a very low average speed, 47 laps, apologies, for them to deal with. So do tune in for that. Of course, do check out the Apex Racing League and Apex Racing TV social media accounts. That's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok as well. Do check out apexracingleague.com as well, and our Discord. There's a link to that in the description below. No series are currently open for signups, which are coming up. However, you can have a mid-season entry for either Super Formula or the prototype. So do go to apexracingleague.com for more details on that. Thanks to our sponsors, SDK Gaming, to VOS, and to Apex Racing Academy as well for sponsoring this series. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Aaron Smith, and from Luis O'Raya, we will say goodbye, and we will see you back next time in a week at Zandvoort. See you then.